Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to explore pull rates and how they affect the price of singles, and as a flow-on effect, could possibly affect the price of a sealed product. Now, no sport news today, well, other than the fact that the Australians desperately need to win a match in the in the World Cup one-day cricket. Not off to a good start. I think we need to win our next 7-7 to get through. So that's very unlikely to happen, which is sad news. Apologies for the golf t-shirt. Sunday is golf day, so I seem to be wearing it every Sunday video. But anyway, let's move on. Pull rates. So I'm going to show some numbers in this video, which isn't mine, of course. So thanks to whoever collates this. A lot of the times it's places like TCG Player that'll open 8,000 packs or 10,000 packs of a set. But I just want to make it clear from the get-go that it's impossible to really know what the exact pull rates are. Because if you think about something like a Rayquaza VMAX from Evolving Skies, a lot of the times people will suggest in lots of different segments of opening 10,000 packs or data sets of 10,000 packs or 5,000 packs that they might only pull 2 or 3 or 4, and therefore it comes out as like 2,000, like the odds of 1 in 2,000 or 1 in 1,100 or 1 in 1,500 or 1 in 2,500. So even 10,000 packs is quite a small sample size. Like you would need to open, I mean, the more the merrier, of course, if you're into your data analysis, but you know, 1 million packs plus you'd need to open to maybe get some sort of accurate representation of knowing what the true pull rates or hit rates of a particular card is. And it brings about some pretty strong questions like, is there any way of actually knowing? Like, does Pokemon Center or Pokemon Company International, I should say, do they seed hits in some sort of regulated manner? As in, you know, we've all seen the old base set sheets and fossil sheets and jungle sheets, and, you know, is there now this setup that there's a certain number of hits per sheet, and then, like, that's probably true, like there'll be a ratio of commons to uncommons to rares to alternate arts in Sword and Shield or special art rares in Scarlet and Violet. But I suppose then it brings about another question, is there such thing as seeded hits to how do those packs then get placed into sealed products? For example, it was pretty, I suppose we could say pretty confidently that if you open a Vivid Voltage booster box, you got two of those amazing rares, the ones with the foil pattern and Pokemon starting to come out of the border again. So is there a guaranteed number of hits that you'll get out of a booster box, for argument's sake, or is it just pot luck? Is it literally like they print 1 million packs and is it that regulated they go 36 into this booster box? Now we've got to have one of this hit, we've got to have one gold rare, we've got to have one rainbow rare, we've got to have, per case, we've got to have 2 alternate arts. Is it that regulated, or is it simply they just get a bunch of packs together and go 36, 36, 36, and overall you get this melting pot of, I suppose, pot luck, for better word, and it just works out to be some sort of regulated hit? I mean, we don't really know. But what we can figure out is that the price of singles very much depends on pull rates. So we can deduce a few things. And it's a bit of a no-brainer, really. Like, the more common a card, the more copies of the card, the less scarce it is, then the less it's worth. Now, alternatively, you could argue a few things oppositely. The more scarce it is, the less copies printed, the more rare it is, and therefore the more it's worth. But there's a little bit more to it than that, which we're going to get into a second. But here's sort of my thoughts around it. I think there's a fair few things that come into play when we're talking about the value of a single in relation to its print run. For example, and I'll get to this at the end, but one of them is obviously, like, pull rates is important. So one of them is the pull rate. But more so than that, like, it could be a somewhat easy card to pull, but the set gets incredibly short printed, which is rare these days because they print to oblivion. But if it was short printed, even if it's somewhat common, like let's say it's like the Obsidian Flames Charizard, which the data seems to suggest somewhere around 1 in 220 packs. Is that right? Who knows? Let's say it's somewhere between 200 and 300 packs. But if that set got incredibly short printed, that would help the price of that single, because I think maybe total copies is maybe a better representation of it. But then again, also, there's other things that come into play, like the Pokemon's popularity. Like, is it a Pikachu or a Charizard or a Mewtwo or a Dragonite or a Rayquaza or an Umbreon? So the Pokemon's popularity comes into it. The artwork of the card also comes into it, like the community's sentiment towards the artwork. Like, is it a good-looking card or is it just a bit average-looking? And then I guess the community also needs to add some sentiment in on the card about, whether it's actually rare or not. Like, you could have I don't know, something that no one collects and it could be one of one. And if there's no community backing behind that TCG, is it rare? Is it valuable? Like, yes, it's rare, but is it valuable? No, because, well, there's not much demand for it. So I think there's a lot of things that come into play. To summarize them all, I think we need to look at pull rates. We need to look at total print run, which will equate to total copies of that card. Then when we look at total copies, we need to look at the Pokemon's popularity. We need to look how good the artwork is. And we need to look at the community sentiment towards that card. Like, does the community see value in that card? And I think with all those things into play, you somehow, and I don't know if you can turn that into an equation, so to speak, but it somehow turns out to the value of a card, the value of a single. So let's jump into some pull rate data though, because this video is predominantly about pull rates and the effect that has on the values of cards and the values of sealed products, I should say. So I just want to make it clear again that this data is not mine. It is, for the most part, from TCG Player, and I think we might get started with Scarlet and Violet era and compare it to Sword and Shield. Now, there's been a lot of commentary around Scarlet and Violet having easier pull rates than Sword and Shield. Now, this can have an impact on a lot of things. Of course, singles prices, but also, I guess, the enjoyability of opening something. Like, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? If you open, or if the hit rate's easier, and you're getting more hits out of a booster box, like, I don't know, in Sword and Shield era, say you're averaging 11 hits or 12 hits out of a Chilling Reign booster box. And now in Scarlet and Violet era, you're averaging 17 or 18 hits out of a booster box. It's more fun because, I guess every second pack seems to have some sort of hit. But if there's more hits and there's more copies printed, then generally singles prices will be a bit lower. And we'll talk about the impact that has on a sealed product and investing in it right at the end of the video. But anyway, Scarlet and Violet. So let's start with Scarlet and Violet base. I'll bring it up on the screen here. So Miriam, the biggest chase card from Scarlet and Violet base, which, as you can already see, prices for Scarlet and Violet base are at an all-time low. The box price is low and the singles price is low. But the odds, it seems, of pulling this card is about 1 in 370. And this data is based off the opening of 5,184 packs. So you see, I guess, that from this base set, and don't get me wrong, the artwork's nice. Like, the artwork is nicer in Scarlet and Violet base than it is Sword and Shield base. But you can see from the easier pull rates, which is creating more copies of the card, plus the printer's running hot, that prices are already starting to tank quite low on these singles. And it's a bit of a worry, really. Next one, though. Obviously, this is, I think, a much stronger set than Scarlet and Violet base, is Paldea Evolved. And the main, well, I wouldn't say it's not the main chase, but I really like the artwork on this, and it's probably the only card that's really bucked the trend in terms of a price. This one is actually shooting north, and that's the Magikarp. But if we look at this, data off opening 8,000 packs, it seems the odds to get this card is about 1 in 480. Same thing though, you'll notice if you've done any research into Sword and Shield pull rates on alternate arts in particular, that these hit rates are easier, like it's easier to pull these cards than what it was during Sword and Shield era. And of course, the third main set from Scarlet and Violet is Obsidian Flames, and they seem to have made this even easier than the first two main sets, base set and Paldea Evolved. You can see this Charizard, which is the biggest chase from the set, and this data is from opening 8,000 packs. Peruse your eyes through it, but 1 in 216 packs. Like, that is, I shouldn't say an easy pull, because I could probably open 216 packs and I guarantee I won't get it. But you can see, like, if you've looked up the prices, I'm not going to show prices, but if you looked up the prices of these cards, they are absolutely tanking. That Charizard, and I said this a month ago when this set launched, I said, do not buy, like my advice on Obsidian Flames is, do not pay an exorbitant price to be one of the first people to have that Charizard, because it'll dip, and it'll dip hard, because its pull rates are too easy. And you can see that clearly here. Now let's compare this to Sword and Shield, right? Moving all the way back, let's look at Evolving Skies first. And there's some crazy looking hit rates from this. And this is from opening 10,000 packs. You can see the Umbreon, 1 in 1,666. And that Rayquaza that I was talking about 5 minutes ago, 1 in 2,333. Again, take this with a grain of salt. How accurate is it really? 10,000 packs, and they've obviously pulled, what, 4 or 5 Rayquazas? Like, geez, it's still not enough, it feels. Let's move on to something like Silver Tempest as well. Like, look at the Lugia from that set. This seems a heap easier than the Umbreon and Rayquaza. And this is off 8,000 packs, but 1 in 684. And already you can see the correlation, because can you argue Umbreon's a more popular Pokemon than Lugia? Oh, possibly. But that Neo Genesis First Edition Lugia holds a lot of weight, like that rookie card. Lugia's a pretty popular Pokemon. Is it quite as popular as Umbreon? Maybe not, but possibly. But you can already see from those hit rates being easier, 1 in 684 versus 1 in 1,666, or even comparing it to the Rayquaza from Evolving Skies, Lugia's price is sitting lower. Now, is the artwork better on Rayquaza and Umbreon? Also possibly. Personally, I think they're slightly nicer artwork. I love that Rayquaza and I love that Umbreon. But the Lugia artwork's also really cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not a bad looking card. So you could argue almost clearly here that the hit rates on that Lugia being a bit easier have made it a cheaper card than the Umbreon and the Rayquaza from Evolving Skies. Possibly. Another one, Lost Origins Giratina. 1 in 720 packs off 8,000 packs is the odds. So similar to the Lugia from Silver Tempest, but easier to pull than the Umbreon and the Rayquaza from Evolving Skies based off this data. And same thing, this is where I said the community sentiment and the artwork can really add value to a card. So that Giratina is such a nice artwork and there's so much demand for it that its price has far eclipsed Lugia's, because even though pull rates for Lugia and Giratina are quite similar, it's far eclipsed it because of the community sentiment towards it and the artwork. So that's why, if you go back 10 minutes, I suppose 8 minutes, 10 minutes, when I was talking about the things that add value to a card, it's not just pull rates and hit rates and total copies printed. If there's strong demand based on community sentiment and artwork towards the card, it can really boost up the value, like we can see in this Giratina here. And the final one I wanted to show is just Brilliant Stars on the screen here, that Charizard V, 1 in 490. Does that seem too easy? That's almost like Paldea Evolved Magikarp sort of hit rate. Is that a bit, I don't know. Anyway, that's off 10,000 packs as well, so they might have got lucky opening those. It seems a bit too good to be true. 1 in under 500 packs to pull an alt art Charizard from... Anyway, is what it is. That's what the data's saying. So, and same thing, you can see the price reflected in that Charizard. There is a lot of total copies of that card because that set's been printed quite heavily and the pull rates seem quite easy. So, all in all, factoring into account Scarlet and Violet's hit rates and Sword and Shield hit rates, we can see that even though Sword and Shield has also been printed into oblivion, the singles prices are holding so much stronger than Scarlet's and Violet's because of the lack of pulling those cards. They're just harder cards to pull, which means less total copies, which means more value to the card. Now, I suppose there's also some community sentiment towards those alt arts, that they're just really, really nice looking cards. And I think, to summarize the whole thing and how this is going to impact possibly sealed prices and singles prices moving forwards, and maybe putting an investment lens on it, I think the best sets that got it right are those last Sword and Shield sets. Reason being, you've got trainer galleries inside it. So Brilliant Stars onwards, right? You've got trainer galleries, which gives you that fun of when you're opening the set, you're getting some, like, that feeling of maybe some constant hits, you know, that 17 or 18. I think I read a stat somewhere, and it could even be on the Brilliant Stars one that I bought up, but 44% hit ratio from opening a Brilliant Stars booster pack. So nearly 1 in 2, you feel like you're getting something, whether it's an alternate art or a rainbow or a V or a trainer gallery. Nearly 1 in 2 packs, you're getting something. That's why I think these final Sword and Shield sets did it so well, because 1 in 2 packs almost, or 40% of packs, you feel like you're getting something. So there's a fun factor there. It's not like, and I love the set, but it's not like Chilling Reign or Fusion Strike, which is just, you can open 10 packs and get 1V, and that's it. And it's just like, far out, that was a stitch up. You can open a whole booster box and feel like you're getting next to nothing, which is also a bit of a stitch up. Same with Evolving Skies. So I think those final Sword and Shield sets got it right. You've got the Trainer Gallery, you've got the constant hits, those, I suppose, low-range hits, but you've still got that chase for the big hit. Brilliant Stars, you've still got the chase for the alternate art Charizard. Lost Origin, you've still got the chase for that beautiful Giratina or even that Aerodactyl, but still getting Trainer Gallery cards as ancillary hits to feel like you're having a good time. Whereas one of the issues I see with Scarlet and Violet is there's no big hits yet. Even the Charizard from Obsidian Flames, they made it too easy to pull that it doesn't feel like a big hit. And I think it's good. Like, it's good that the hit rates are better and the packs you're getting 2 reverse foils now, isn't it? 2 reverse foils plus a foil every single pack. So, like, for kids, you feel like you're getting something. For people opening it, you feel like you're getting something. But without that chase of super strong hits that are harder to get, you don't feel like you can ever pull big value out of a box, which I think in the long run, if you compare the final Sword and Shield Trainer Gallery sets to the first Scarlet and Violet sets, like, they don't even compare. From an investing standpoint, to summarize, in 10 years' time, they're going to be worlds apart. Not just $100 apart or hundreds of dollars apart. In my opinion, they're going to be worlds apart. So if you can take one bit of advice out of this video, I guess it is go and invest in the final Sword and Shield sets. I'm Michael, this is Poke Oz. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.